Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. In 1984, I think, no, 1994, 96, there was a conference in Kasana and President Mandela attended. And he said, when you get to age 70, which is where I am, on the 7th row, you can be forgiven for a lot of things. I'm sorry for coming late. I was sitting in my room waiting, and they said, you can only come down when we tell you. And then they told me they are ready for you, so I came running. I can't even breathe right now. I don't know if Professor Azonia is here, and Your Majesty, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my greatest honor and privilege to come and share my story, particularly to be back in Kigali, a country that has been blessed with visionary leadership, a country that respects women, and a country that has placed women at the center. For me, personally, President Kagame was my mentor when I was head of state. So most of the pro-poor programs that I implemented, for example, rural housing, a Kawa family, 1 acre fund, I borrowed from here. But another secret is that Madam Kagame, Jeanette, my sister Jeanette is my prayer partner. So for me, he's my hero. It's just refreshing to come here and see what happens when the person sitting in the driver's seat knows what to do. Who is Joyce Banda? I was told that I must share my story. And my story that I share today is not of the chief executives you saw here, but to demonstrate that you can come from nowhere and get to the top. I was born in a small village in Malawi. And the tradition in my village is that your grandmother must give you her name if you are the eldest granddaughter. And then, when she dies, you inherit, or she has become the matriarch of the family. So in my case, and she must bring you up and teach you all that she knows about being a good woman, a good wife, and a good community citizen. But I was born in a little hospital that had just been established. So my grandmother is carrying me on her laps when the British midwife who had established the clinic came round, finds a proud grandmother with her first-born grandchild, and asks my grandmother, what is the name of this child going to be? And she, being the grandmother, should have said, my name, because that's what our tradition is. She said to the person translating to her, ask her what her name is. And this woman says, I'm Joyce. She says, yeah, that's going to be the name of this baby. And the woman said, why? She said, because I want her, when she grows up, to build hospitals, as many hospitals as possible. So I lost my inheritance that day, but I also gained, because for me, it has been a push. My grandmother said, I'll grow up to build as many hospitals as possible, to build schools. Number two, tradition called that I must be brought up by my grandmother. My father had just started work in the Malawi police band, and she fought and fought with my grandmother. She said, I want to bring up my daughter myself, and I want to send her to school. So then, again, an abnormality in my life. My friends were growing up with their grandmothers. I ended up in town with my father. So what role did my father play? I will refer to an article that appeared in the newspaper called Atlantic in 2016, when I was working at the Woodrow Wilson Center. The headlines was, and the picture was that of my sister Ellen Sirleaf. And the title was, What Women Leaders Have in Common. And the article, you can Google it, it's the Atlantic, I hope you can find it. It said, their research had shown that all leaders interviewed, each one of them without fail, will talk about the role their father played in their life. I'm saying this because I'm talking to African men and women. And it is our tradition, typical tradition in most of the villages, that the father has very little access to the girl child. The girl child has very little access to daddy. But that is the loss we miss out. In my case, I was lucky. I had a father who cared, who wanted to ensure that I achieve everything that he wanted me to achieve. He was a very proud dad. And so, in the police band, they used to go to the governor's house once in a while to play music, to entertain the governor, who was the head of state. And one day they are going to play music there. He threw me in the car. And his fellow policemen in the band laughed at him, as they always did. Why do you pamper this girl? As I heard on the podium this morning, where are you taking her? My daddy said, I just want her to see State House, what State House looks like. When we got there, the band did not even get anywhere near the house. They were playing music in the garden. He placed me there. But I remember watching greatness. I remember seeing the governor and his friends having a cup of tea, listening to this soft music. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without wanting to waste your time, 50 years later, that was my State House. A father who was interested for me to see what other children couldn't see, planted a seed that day. What does it feel like to be a head of state? You can choose. You must choose now, young women leaders and men leaders, to live an ordinary life or to live an extraordinary life. The choice is yours. You can't just wake up and then tomorrow and then go to sleep, wake up, and then as long as you have a salary, that's not enough. You must decide. It's a deliberate move. You must do something about yourself to make sure that you live an extraordinary life. It is at that point when I decided, no. To start with, at age 21, I was married. This is a child who is supposed to be a great child when he grows. By age 26, I had 3 children. So when am I going to be great? By age 30, the marriage had broken off. I can't even begin talking about the fights that were there. I talk about this with pride because there are some who may be going in such difficulties and may just forget about life, forget about the future, forget about moving on. Because I have serious problems. In my case, I decided to pack my bags and move at age 30. 2 years later, I went looking for another husband. I went shopping and found a better one. And found a better one. And I always said they don't even make that model anymore. Those that live in Malawi can count on their hands whether I'm in State House or out, as long as I'm in the country when they have seen me without Richard Banda on my side. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will find that at that point, for me to be focused, I was already 30 years old when I walked out of that marriage. And I know, and I'm telling you, time goes very fast. Before I knew it, I'm 70. Today, I'm 74. So you need to have a very clear plan. So at age 30, after that marriage, I drew my mission statement. So anybody who has followed my career, what I do, will know that for me, I said at that age, I'll spend my life assisting women and youth and girls gain social and political empowerment through business and education. So everybody who has followed what I do is business for women, education for girls, empowerment of women and education for girls. I have a very clear plan. I don't jump around. I don't see her with her plan and say, oh, but I should be doing that. That's not how it works. You waste so much time. The things that I've championed in my life originated from personal experience. Because I was fortunate to be taken by this father, to grow up in town, I left my best friend in the village. The deal that my father and my grandmother struck was that every Friday I would travel home. Then my grandmother would do the needful. So every Friday when I got down from the bus, my best friend Chris would be waiting for me by the roadside. And Chris was brighter than me. She went to the village school. I went to the urban school. But I was not first position every class. We went to the end of primary school. We were both selected to the best secondary schools in Malawi. Chris went one term. When I got back for holiday, Chris had dropped out because the family could not raise $6, £6, 10 shillings for her to go back. I remember telling my father, find £6 for my best friend. And my daddy said my own salary is £18. So when the two of you go to school, we stay with nothing. Nobody helped Chris. And as I'm talking to you now, Chris is where I left her. She's still in the village. She just turned blind the other day. The child she had at 16 died of AIDS. I mean, everything just worked against my best friend. It is at that stage where I decided that when I grow up, I'll send as many girls as possible to school. So the fact that I've built schools and I can register 6,500 girls that are educated and 1,500 college students, with 40 of them being medical doctors, it's all about Chris. The second area that I've championed that the lady introduced me talked about is health. At age 34, with this newfound husband, I went to give birth to my fourth-born child because I left the other marriage with 3 children. I suffered what they call postpartum hemorrhage. Those people who are in the health sector will know that you bleed non-stop and you can bleed to death. My husband had a very good friend who was one of the only 3 gynecologists that we had. He came and saved my life. And I began to ask, what's happening to others that don't have a judge for a husband and a gynecologist as a friend? My research shocked me. Malawi's record at that time, 1,200 women were dying giving birth. I mean, we had not been to war. Next to Sierra Leone, who were just recovering from war. And I said to me, well, that is my next area of focus. When I was president, I'm proud to say that we were able to reduce maternal death by 32%. And the African Union gave us an award. But I don't take that credit alone. The traditional leaders in my country were mobilized by me, realizing that they are the custodians of tradition and culture, and they are the ones who helped me change the mindset. Everybody must deliver at the clinic. Engaged in the private sector to build holding shelters so women could get at the hospital 2-3 weeks before labor, so that when it starts, they're in capable hands. Number 3 is gender-based violence. As I said earlier, I can't even begin to discuss the fights in that household with that other gentleman. I mean, I can write a book. But then I said, now that I can fight gender-based violence, it must be my priority. So in 2006, while I was serving as Minister of Women and Children, I championed the passing of the Domestic Violence Bill in Malawi. And you may wonder why I called it Domestic Violence Bill. The men in Malawi were screaming at me to say, Uyoto, look at her. She wants to mess us up. She's talking about empowering women, and she wants the women to be rude, to be arrogant. So I kept saying, no, it's Domestic Violence Bill, so that if the wife beats you up, you too can be protected. We worked extremely hard with the help of the civil society and donors. We were able to pass that bill in April of 2006. The fourth line is leadership. I don't know about you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, but I am one person who believes that leaders are born. It is documented. My master's is in leadership, and I know that when you talk about this, a lot of people don't like it because it's a $1 billion industry teaching leaders. So you can make a leader, and I don't dispute that. But at this level, I'm able to see the difference. So if you're born with 30% leadership traits, society, community, family has to add on the 70%. So that's where going to school comes in, and that's where empowerment comes in. That's where our role as mothers of our daughters comes in. I have spent a whole 2 years at the Woodrow Wilson investigating this topic, researching on the participation of women in leadership in Africa. My advice to you, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, immediately begin to build yourselves an international network. It comes handy. Ask me. Perhaps now I would have been in jail because of the way in Africa, politics play a role such that people can suffer for things they didn't do. So you need people that can rally around you and help you to fight for justice. I'll give you an example. The Constitution of Malawi says when the president dies, the vice president shall be sworn in within six hours. I mean, there's no question about that. It's constitutional. Now, my president appointed me his running mate. We ran together. Our names were both on the ballot paper. He even promised Malawians, when I leave office, I will leave her in the chair because I'll groom her in the next 5 years. So everybody knew that. But suddenly things changed. In fact, he actually told me, I have changed my mind. My family has told me, you will arrest me. I said, wow. How now? I don't know anything. Tell me what you know that I don't know. But then suddenly, the president passes on. I'm sitting at my house. They came, they took away the security cars, my security, and I'm sitting there. It is called the great 72 hours. Because for 72 hours, I was under siege. The country was announcing that the president hasn't died. He has gone to South Africa, he's on drip. These people were pumping in water in a dead body. The pilot that came, ambulance pilot that they had ordered from South Africa to come and get him, refused to take the dead body. They said, he's dead. No. What do you mean? He's not dead. Is he dead? No. We are going to the hospital. They even produced a gun. They even threatened him. His coffin had a fake name. So there's no way I was ever going to become president. This is a president, ladies, mark this. This is a president that I helped to win. We won that election by 76% because all the women just came out to vote for this president and his running mate, because she's a woman. Suddenly, I can't take oath. It's a long story. In fact, some people in Hollywood have said, why don't we make a movie of the 72 hours, the back and forth? But at the end of the day, I was able to take off 72 hours later at night, because for the longest time, the Chief Justice then was refusing to swear me in. And the excuse was, oh, this is the wrong way. I just traveled here suddenly. I didn't know the president was going to die. And so I don't have my gown with me. My husband has been Chief Justice of Malawi and Swaziland. He went running with his gown. Please, take this, use this. On the third day, I was able to take oath. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, what have I learned from this is that you must be calm and firm. You must know what belongs to you and not give up. You must take it, but you must move very cautiously because they can just cut you out, shoot you, and then you have lost. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the other thing that I learned is that when you fall, imagine that you have fallen in the middle of the road. There are cars going this way, cars going this way. You are on the ground. You have to get up very quickly before the cars crash you. This life is about moving on. This life is about getting up and starting all over again. I have also learned, and this was taught to me by Grace Masiu, Graça Machel told me two things. One thing she said, African men and women, we have a very serious problem. We are modest. It is in our upbringing not to show off, not to say what we have done, but listen, nobody is going to say it for you. Say it yourself. So for me, you're looking at somebody here who has been Minister of Women and Children, Foreign Minister, Vice President, and President of Malawi. Zanele Mbeki, one time talking, the former president of South Africa's wife, talking at a meeting, she said, when you go up the ladder and get to the top, don't push the ladder. Don't drop the ladder. Leave it there so that others can also climb on it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for me, the attributes of a good leader is the one who has the ability to mobilize a good team. This is Joyce Banda's quote everywhere. A good leader is one who has the ability to mobilize to a good team and to know that that team can know better than you. CEOs, in your office, there are people who know better than you. So when you have built a good team, listen to them and respect them. It becomes a great joy in the end because you share the achievements. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe that leadership is a love affair. You fall in love with the people, you must fall in love with the people yourself. Particularly those of us who are in politics. You must fall in love with the people yourself, and the people will fall in love with you. Now for me, I made up my mind a long time ago. The people that I love are rural people. The people that are underprivileged, the poor. You should see what they do when somebody tries to scratch me. You should see how they jump. The day they were refusing to swear me in, it became clear that there's a problem. They don't want me to take oath. They started walking from villages far and wide and told the Speaker of Parliament that if Joyce Banda doesn't take oath today, we are burning down this building, this parliament. He came running to my house. Mrs. Joyce Banda, please, take oath, take oath. They are going to burn parliament. I said, am I going to swear myself in? Go and talk to the Chief Justice. It's not my problem. He went and told the Chief Justice, who went back to his story to say, oh, but my gown is in Blantyre. It is the the Speaker, who provided the car to go all the way to Blantyre, 4 hours away. Where are you now? We are at Liwonde. Now where are you? We are at Inchew. By the time they got back to the house, to Parliament, it was 5 o'clock. So those of you who have seen my swearing in, it was in the evening, in the dark, as if I was a witch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the advantage of having a woman leader are many. But I think for a political leader, I must say, without fear of any contradiction, we make good leaders. We take risks. We take risks. We implement poor programs. But we also decide that I'm going to implement unpopular projects for the sake of the people that I love. So, I want to just cite a few of my successes. I'll go very fast. Number one, I appointed fellow women to positions of leadership. So for the first time in Malawi, we had a female Chief Justice, a female secretary, Chief Secretary to Government, the first Solicitor General, the first Director of Law Commission, first Human Rights Commission, 8 district commissioners, 100 appointments. Because you know what? This world is about all of us. There's no way a country, the professor said this morning, you can't work with one hand, you can't drive with one hand. And you know what? We are the majority. And the last time I checked, we brought into this world the other half as well. the economy of Malawi in the 2 years now, then nobody wanted to talk about it. Now it is what they talk about. We have a proverb in Malawi where they say a well's depth is only known when the water dries. Because now they say, but how did Joyce Banda do it? Because my 2 years, when I came in 2011, the economy grew by 3.5%. When I stayed, the 2 years I was president, the economy grew by 6%, 6.2%. Now, this week particularly, I don't know why, it's talked about a lot in Malawi. How did Joyce Banda grow the economy by 6.2%? Because as my dear sister said this morning, figures don't lie. Figures don't lie. You can say she was useless, she was this, yes, but figures don't lie. And you know what? You'll be pleased to hear that since I left, nobody has touched 6% again. This year it is 2%. We reduced maternal death by 32%, added 64 megawatts to the grid until therefore there were no blackouts during my time. Build modern villages in every district of Malawi. Those of you that are from Malawi here, come, I'll tell you where the villages are. I just believe that ordinary rural people deserve better life and better homes as well. But this building of rural housing, I borrowed that from Rwanda. I implemented major projects like infrastructure, roads, and policemen's houses, army houses, but focused a lot on pro-poor projects. And as it turns out, those are now the projects they talk about. Joyce Banda was concerned about our plight. So the majority of Malawians, 85%, are rural-based. So what they remember most is what changed their lives. There's one thing I'm proud about, is that we fought corruption. When I came in, I didn't know, I only knew later, that the Reserve Bank governor had written a letter to the president to say money is being stolen. And I didn't know. Later on, it was an ambassador for the European Union who alerted me that money was being stolen. And this big mouth, instead of being quiet and shake slowly, I made an announcement. I said, I've been alerted. You are stealing money. If I catch you, whether you are my brother, my son, my husband, you are going to jail. And immediately I started getting death threats and notes, messages. You can't. The day you try, you are dead. Or we will smear this back onto you. But you know what? Women leaders, we must be brave. If you have done nothing wrong, don't worry. I told them back, yes, you will smear that onto me, but if I haven't done it, I'm married to one of the finest lawyers in the country called Malawi. I will not go to jail with you, but you are going to jail. So it is the only time in the history of my country where 72 thieves were arrested and went to jail, and some of them are still serving time. Because if you say, I've fallen in love with the people, you will not want anybody to steal from them or to exploit them. Propaganda will come, my dear sisters and brothers. Lies will be written about you, particularly those of you who want to go into politics. So make sure you fight back. I didn't know how to fight back. I learned very late. In fact, some of my friends from Nigeria and other countries said, have a team to respond every time. Because it is important for people to hear your side. But my husband kept saying, you have done nothing wrong, leave them. They're just yapping around. But then politics is about perception. So if you're in politics, respond. Give your side of the story. People have asked me that post State House, what are you doing now? I am serving on 25 international boards. When the global community has built trust in you, they'll keep coming back. And so, while Malawians are saying, go back to State House, I'm saying, no, but I'm busy this side. That time is up. It's not clear what I'm going to do next, but what I know for sure is that the international community has seen something in me. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, you and many people have asked me, are you a feminist? And I keep saying yes, I'm a feminist, but I'm an African feminist. I am an African feminist. And you know the good news? I have done better than the other type. Because me, I believe that in order for us to yield more, we must engage our men. We must work with the men to get women to the table. I mean, if you are confrontational, they'll just close the door and we'll lose out. I like giving an example of my country. The law of Malawi now says a president shall appoint 42% women to his cabinet. For some unknown reason, the president appointed 35% this term. And what I heard was that women were dancing on the road, singing, shouting, screaming, angry, going to parliament to deliver a petition against the president for breaking the law. So I called the president. I said, I don't know if you have heard what's happening on the road. He says, no, what? I said, oh, they say you have let them down. You have appointed 35%. The agreement is that it will be 42, and it is the law. So now they are going to parliament to deliver a petition. The president said to me, they are going to parliament. I'm in State House. I am in State House. They are going to parliament. So I called them, I said, oh, I'm told you are lost. Go to State House. By engaging the president and sitting down and talking to him, he appointed 42% women, but 50-50 judges. We don't have to be confrontational. We can engage our men. I am that kind of feminist. If you want to take the other route, because younger women in Africa shout at me to say, no, we don't believe in that. But I'm telling you, it has worked with me, even with Joyce Banda in my house. By me appearing stupid again more. So our leaders on the continent are doing better than most. Are doing better than most. They are appointing 50% of their cabinet women. Did you scream at them? Did you shout at them? What I know is that we engaged them, and they know what we are expecting. And as one sister of mine said, we were leaders even before colonization. And wise leaders include us in their cabinets. We will continue to name and shame, but we will do it in such a way that we don't push ourselves down their throat, that the moment they see you coming, that's like, ish, there she comes, close the door. They will see you coming and say, she must have something she wants to say, sit down. What is it? And you explain. For me, I'm a feminist, but an African feminist. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish by encouraging you that it's not all lost. African women, we like beating ourselves. We are master negotiators. Even our grandmothers. We have been leaders before colonization. In fact, when you read some literature, they say that it is colonization that delayed us. Because where those people were coming from, they didn't know how to incorporate women in their programs when they took over our countries. And our brothers, when they started fighting for self-rule, our sisters rose to the occasion. We can name them. We have done well. We have had 6 female presidents on the continent. We have a 7th one coming this year. You know what? There are some democracies of 200 years. They are trying still to get one woman in 2 State House. And I've told them, I saw them celebrating the other day that they got one vice president. I said, Vice President, where I come from, there are 2 penny. I was vice president 20 years ago. What are you talking about? We have done well. What we need to do is build on that. Take advantage of that. Use that all the time to say, our brothers, you have assisted us. We have had 6 presidents. We are expecting more. Help us achieve more. But I want to draw a picture in your mind. as I go to sit down. In 2013, I was appointed first woman to chair SADC. So when you chair SADC, the 16 presidents from the 16 member countries come to your country for that conference, Heads of State Summit. So they came to Malawi. But I had decided that we were going to have a female Secretary General, Executive Secretary of SADC, because Dr. Salma was retiring. And I said to him, let's find a lady. So they found Dr. Tax, who is now the Minister of Defense in Tanzania, to take over. The statute of the SADC says that when you swear in the new executive secretary, it must happen at the Heads of State Summit. So I'm standing at the podium, and I call Dr. Tax to the podium. But the law also says that when the executive secretary of SADC takes oath, the Chief Justice of the country must preside over that event. So in Malawi, it was a female. It was Anastasia Sosa. She came to the podium. But they also say, if the African Union chair is present, she must be part of the swearing in. Nkosazana Zuma was in the room representing African Union. She came to the podium. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, 4 women were standing at the podium while 16 brothers watched women of Africa run matters of state. We can do it. Thank you.